countries compete with each other. And competition for farmers and producers means prices go down, which means they lose even more of their income. Exploitation and privatization of the commons and ownership of life. Of course, ownership of life is such a wrong step, because you can change a gene, but you don't create the plant. This stool has been brought for me to sit in. Suppose I had carried it from India, and I came into the International Convention Center of Taiwan and said, because I brought a stool, the center is my center, IDA should be giving me rent for holding this conference, and TICC should be paying me rent. You would laugh and say I'm crazy. But where it comes to life and food, we've allowed this craziness to happen. All that was done was a gene was introduced, and ownership over the life of a plant and its future generations was taken away. And now, not only has the stool mover been turned into the owner of a building, they've even been turned into the architects of the building. So someone who moves a gene through genetic engineering has a patent, and the patent means they've created that system from scratch and are the owners and collect rents from life, which is what patent royalties really are. And that's why from day one, I said, this is wrong. This is epistemologically wrong, it's ethically wrong, it's ecologically wrong. And I started to say seeds. That is what Navdanya does. And we distribute seeds to farmers to keep seeds in the commons. We've distributed seeds after the tsunami because we have the seeds of salt-tolerant crops. We've distributed seeds when the drought hits us, of crops that can tolerate the drought. And we have wonderful aromatic rices, like our basmati. Not only have I challenged patents on life morally, I've challenged them legally, because patents on life also mean the most blatant pirates can start claiming ownership over other people's knowledge and biodiversity. We have a wonderful plant called the neem, which was patented by the US Department of Agriculture and a company called W.R. Grace. I fought that case for 11 years in the European Patent Office, and we defeated a big company and the biggest superpower of our world. Basmati, the valley that I come from, produces this aromatic rice, wonderful, it means the queen of aroma. A Texas company called Rice Tech, and they think we just put tech against anything and it's yours. And they claimed basmati was their invention, nothing less than an invention. And they claimed ownership over the aroma of the rice, the plant, the seed, the methods of cooking rice, can you imagine? We all learn how to cook rice as little children in rice-eating cultures. We challenged that, and we won. More recently, Monsanto patented an old wheat variety, which has low gluten. We challenged that. But I don't think it should be our job to stop piracy. Piracy should not happen, and it can only stop when patents on life and stealing knowledge is treated and defined as illegitimate in international law. And these processes are on in WTO, but they don't get completed. Of course, there's a very big consequence when the design of living systems and the design of genetically modifying living systems doesn't fit. It leads to failed technology. So the Roundup-resistant soya was supposed to control weeds. The Bt toxin crops were supposed to control pests. What we have is an increase of weeds. So we have super weeds and we have super pests. 15 million acres in the United States have been destroyed with super weeds. I mentioned a 13-fold increase in pesticide use in India. Another claim was this is going to produce more food, but that's not true. The technology doesn't allow it. But even more importantly, empirically, across the world, not a single genetically modified crop has produced more yield. So it's not a solution to hunger, it's not a solution to reducing chemical use, it's not an environmental solution, but it is an environmental problem. That is why we have to design food and agriculture in more intelligent ways. Better intelligent that takes into account the ecological processes of living systems. Agroecology is the discipline that works on the design of ecological farming. And we produce more food. The United Nations has admitted that you can produce 2 times more food through agroecology. An international assessment of agricultural science and technology, a United Nations assessment, is the climate treaty equivalent of food and agriculture, has shown clearly that only agroecological processes can introduce better food security. So we have on the one side a paradigm that destroys the earth, biodiversity, farmers, public health, and creates monopolies. And on the other hand, the richness of biodiversity, working with our intelligence, of sharing the resources of biodiversity as a commons, doubling food production, tripling food production, while conserving the natural capital for future generations. It would be stupid to go the unintelligent way. Thank you.